You're terribly late, you know. Naughty.
In this version of Alice, the Hatter was, I mean, in my mind, he's mad. I think he's been sitting there at that table, having the same tea with the same people in this kind of spaced-out funk for 10 years. I think he's been frozen in time, waiting for Alice to come back. I'd read stuff about real hatters when they were making the hats. The glue that they used had very high mercury content, and it would stain their hands, and they would go sideways. You know, they'd go goofy from the mercury and go nuts. And so it did happen to people. They went mad as a hatter.
It is good to be working at my trade again.
The Hatter's entire body was affected by the mercury, by the madness, so much so that his clothes, his skin color, his hair, everything reflects his emotion. And that's, I mean, that's just stuff that just felt right.
Cockle hat, pork pie, billycock, tam o' shanter.
Yeah, a real challenge, you know, to define the Mad Hatter in terms of cinema, in terms of film. It's risky stuff. Like with any character, you get these, you know, I always get these sort of images, you know, I start seeing the guy, you know. For something as wild as it was, it all happened pretty organically. I started making my little, you know, like I always do, little watercolors and stuff. You know, Tim is halfway across the globe, and he's making his little drawings, and we spoke about it and compared it. They weren't very far off.
His actually was a little better than mine. You know, mine was crude, his was crude, but that's the fun part, you know, coming up with. The scary part is when you actually see it.
So what I did is I took that illustration and sort of translated it onto his face, you know, using his features.
The wig, you know, we had this electric orange yak hair that just kind of, you know, had its own personality.
We did start exploring every orange-haired character, and it's quite disturbing when you do that.
I wanted him to have electrified kind of eyes, you know, so we got these unbelievably green lenses and had one of them painted just ever so slightly off, you know, so it's kind of, he's never really looking straight at you. He's always looking a little bit farther.
Initially, when Tim was drawing a lot of the concepts and little sketches for various characters, like the Mad Hatter or the Red Queen, he has an artistic style where he actually draws characters with big heads and big eyes. And so what we did was end up saying, you know what, let's take some footage and let's blow up Johnny Depp's eyes and see what that adds to his character and see what that looks like. And so those enlarged eyes are one just subtle thing that help bridge the gap between these fully CG characters and real people.
It's not a motion capture representation. When you see Johnny's performance, it's him, it's his eyes, it's his face, it's everything.
He's got amazing costume with all the ribbons and the bobbins. I thought it would be cool if, I mean, we talked about him having all the tools of his trade apparent, so they aren't just on a shelf, but they're part of his costume, and like little scissors things, and he's got his thimbles, which were an early idea, and his pincushion ring, and all these things. We just kept pushing it, and it was great fun to make him all his bits and stuff. The original hat was sort of done before the drawings, but it was what they both kind of saw.
Action!
Take it to the White Queen.
I'm not leaving without you.
Go!
When I first saw him in all his hair and makeup, he was so unrecognizable that it was just like he was just the character from the beginning. This is impossible.
Only if you believe it is.
When he leaves the trailer, when his costume goes on, it's complete, but he is the Mad Hatter. I mean, he's gone from Johnny Depp to the Mad Hatter.
Snood, barbouche, pougri, yarmulke, cockle hat, pork pie, tam o' shanter, billycock, bicon, tricon, bando, bon grace, fantail, nightcap, garibaldi, fez.
When I heard him do a scene for the first time, I loved everything that he had done with the very innocent, very hopeful, almost puppy dog-like thing that he was doing with one part of the Mad Hatter.
Twinkle, twinkle, little bat, how I wonder where you're at.
And then I thought that I was hearing things, because then I was on set another day, and suddenly he had fire in his eyes and was doing a Scottish accent. And I assumed that he must have been rehearsing something for another movie, and then I found out, no, when he's very much in the present, he's sweet, and then when he's remembering the past, he's, Scottish.
That is an excellent practice. However, just at the moment, you really might want to focus on the Jabberwock.
And, it's one of those things where it's hit or miss, and you just hope that you know, that it works. I mean, the accents, the switching, it's the merging into another character, basically, is the Hatter's sort of, that safety mechanism that kicks in when he needs to become tough, when he needs to become angry, when he needs to be protective, when he's fearful. It's kind of like experiencing a kinder form of personality disorder in a way.
What is the Hatter with me?
But the combination of being able to play the Mad Hatter and breathe life into that and kind of take what Lewis Carroll has done and what Tim's vision is and then throw your own stuff in there. It's just like the stuff dreams are made of.